Hi, and welcome to this first video in Slough Off Stress. This particular technique we're going to be doing has many different names. It can be referred to as myofascial rebounding or jiggling. Some schools of thought refer to it as shaking medicine, and other schools of thought can refer to it as the thawing from the freeze response. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with this fact, when we human beings are under stress, we don't only experience fight or flight. There's the possibility of experiencing fight, flight, or freeze. So we can either, if we have any stressor coming at us, we can either hunker down and fight, we can run away in flight, or we could freeze like a deer in headlights. And what happens with our animal friends that live in the wild is that once an animal experiences the freeze response, they somewhat play dead in their system until the threat has moved on and gone elsewhere. And once that animal feels safe enough to go through the natural process that its body does to, thaw and slough off that stressor, it'll run to a safe spot in the wild and it'll start to shake. It'll shake off that freeze response. It'll thaw it off so it's no longer living in its cells. And then once that energy has been dispersed from its system, it'll slow down the shaking and then breathe deeply, meaning that their body is now in rest and digest mode and out of fight, flight, or freeze mode. Now, the main difference between animals in the wild and we human beings is that oftentimes us humans are in a situation where we can't just go away and shake off that freeze response or shake off the stressor that came at us. We tend to stuff it down. We tend to put on a good face so we don't feel judged, or we protect ourselves around the people that we're by, or what have you. And also the simple fact that most of us have lost the connection to this inherent wisdom that our body has, the inherent capability to slough the stress off of our system after experiencing a stressor that puts us into freeze mode. Now, this particular technique is not just good for the freeze response. Any stress response that we may have had in our body, if it's still living in our cells after the incident, it's beneficial to slough it off in the technique we're about to do. And I just gave you a little teaser by showing you. So what you're going to do is mind your space, make sure it's clear of clutter. And I'm going to show you the side view for a moment. Well, actually, you're going to stand with your feet hip width apart. And I'd like you to imagine that your heels are glued to the floor beneath you so that they stay in contact with the ground during this technique. There is the possibility of your heels lifting off the ground as we do this, but I recommend to make sure that your heels stay on the ground so we don't bypass what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do here is we're doing gentle bouncing movement. And this gentle bouncing movement is going to bypass our conscious mind, help access the subconscious mind so it can gently bust through subconscious holding patterns in our cells, like the freeze response, for example. So with your heels on the ground, feet hip distance apart, you're going to slightly bend your knees, and this is where the movement's going to come from. So I want you to imagine that you're dribbling a basketball. You're going to dribble your body from your knees, doing little baby bounces like so. Now I'm going to face you. So that is all this movement is. Super simple, and it's an opportunity for our conscious mind to take a back seat so the movement can start to let go of subconscious holding patterns in our bodies. So I'm going to talk to you about a few more things that you can discover through this movement. But what we're going to do is we are going to do this for 5 minutes minimum together. If you do this for 20, 30 seconds, okay, that's fine. You might have shaken a little bit out of your system, but if you really want to shake as much as you can out of your system, I suggest 5 minutes minimum. And if you do this on your own, I don't recommend going hog wild right from the start and do 20 minutes. I've had students in the past do it for a longer period of time right away, and they were super sore the next day. So please, if you decide that you're doing this on your own and you're like, I want to do it a little longer than 5 minutes, baby step it up to maybe like an extra minute. So you're doing like 6 minutes to maybe no more than 8 minutes to start. Just give yourself that opportunity to baby step your way up to see how your body responds, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to set my timer, which is over here. Whoops, I'm gonna keep this little blooper in here because, you know, over the years, sometimes people have said to me, clients have said to me, oh, you're so zen. How do you stay so perfect all the time? No, I am not perfect. No, I am not always zen. I am a human being and things can happen, just like leaving my phone timer over there instead of where I was originally gonna place it over here. So I just share that with you to bring in a little humanness to this recording. All right, so I've got the timer set for 5 minutes, feet hip distance apart, and let's start bouncing. So, most importantly, please make sure you are breathing during this technique. You don't need to force yourself to take deep breaths in and out. I suggest doing that only if it feels natural and organic in the process. But please make sure you're not holding your breath. While we're doing this movement, you're gonna feel and see your arms moving if you're looking in a mirror. And of course, your legs are moving. However, ideally, may this movement open up your diaphragm. May it start letting some tension that might be in your guts just kind of soften and relax. And if you're holding your breath, well, first of all, you're not going to last very long doing this, but also you're not allowing your body to let go to the level that it can. So make sure you're breathing. Now, as you're doing this, if you find that sound wants to come out of your mouth, because from the inside out, you want to release some tension that's in your throat chakra, in your center of creative expression, feel free to let it out. During our time together, you may even hear me let it out. So enjoy the ride if sound wants to come out of your mouth. Now, the next thing is you're doing this. I invite you to soften your gaze so you're looking slightly down in front of you. You already know what this movement is. You don't necessarily need to see me unless you want to feel like you're in the company of somebody. I invite you to look up then. However, when you slightly bring your gaze down, you can safely turn your attention inward. And while you're bringing your attention inward, I invite you to just scan your body like we scanned our body in the fluid start. Scan your body in your mind's eye and notice some of the areas that may be moving freely and some of the areas that might be feeling a little more restricted. And just pay attention. There's nothing special that you have to do here with that knowledge. It's just your body's way of informing you, hey, I'm feeling a little tight. My right shoulder's feeling a little tight. Or, wow, I'm amazed at how much my hips are moving with this. You know, those are just some examples. So tune in and see what signals and sensations your body is sending you to inform you where you might be carrying more tension than desired, or what parts of your body are moving just fine. And go ahead and allow yourself to breathe into those more restricted areas, sending nourishing oxygen to those stiffer parts of you. And as you breathe out, imagine breathing out any tension. Let that tension leave your body through your breath. And ideally, over time, as you continue with this technique over the 5 minutes, ideally, some of those tighter places will hopefully be moving with a little greater ease. So not only are you able to learn about where you're carrying tension in your body, but you're also able to help somewhat treat those areas through this particular movement. Making sure your heels are staying on the floor, you're bouncing from your knees, you're doing great. Now, of course, there's some music playing in this particular video, but if you have a favorite song you like to bounce out to, oh, this is great to turn on that tune and bounce away. Get that stress out of your system as much as you can, and listening to enjoyable music is a great gateway as well. Now, as always, if you're starting to feel any outright pain, either ease up and soften your bounces or take a break from the technique altogether. Just keep listening to your body. Your body can change on any given day. Just listen to the messages that are coming through and follow your body's lead. If you brought your, oh my goodness, well, I was about to go into some more suggestion. However, let's slowly bring our bounces to an ease, because that, my friends, was 5 minutes. Now just take a moment and just move around your space, move around the space that you're in, and just see how your body feels. See how your mind feels. Just take note. And before we complete our time together, we're going to give our knees a little thank you. This is part of a Tai Chi Qigong warm-up that I had done for years when I retired from a professional dancer and healed my body through those art forms. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your hands to your knees. If you can reach here, don't strain yourself if you can't. If you could take your hands to your knees, slightly bending your knees, we're going to do some circles to your right. Now, you're not necessarily circling your kneecaps. You're moving from your hips and your ankles to bring some movement into your knees so synovial fluid can loosen the joints and feed it the nourishment they need. Now let's go the other way. Nice big circles. Thank you, knees. Thank you so much for helping that healing movement that we just did. Our bodies really enjoy appreciation. So as silly as that may have sounded, anytime you feed your body some appreciation, oh, the cells of your body will love you for it. So please feel free to do this particular technique anytime you wish. Maybe not after a heavy meal. I don't think your body would do so well with that, but just feel free to incorporate it in your day-to-day at any point in time, and always listen to your body as you're doing so. Thank you so much for being here. We have another video coming up for you where we're going to be moving energy within our system, within our body, and within our energy system, and I look forward to seeing you there.